let's not waste any time and jump into our epic updated build guide video. Since I've had so many requests to finally upload this build, there are a lot of changes from our last build guide video. Using a D rank metal ring is no longer required, so I do recommend you listen to everything in this guide. Otherwise, you'll find out that you'll miss out on tons of important information. First off, we'll start with our treasures, but before I forget to mention it, I'm doing a $100 gift card giveaway across 2 videos, this video and our previous Insane Levels video linked below. I will be choosing one winner from each video. Make sure you are subscribed, like the video, have notifications on, and leave a comment below to enter. You could maybe leave a comment about a future update or feature you want to see. But jumping back into treasures, first off we use Chick Doll in this build. This is because we will have bird companions equipped, and skill damage is the best boost here for what we plan on running. Sun Crown should always be used without a doubt. For new players, you do not need bats for the 80% attack boost, so don't stress about that. The 80% attack boost is applied regardless. For our vase, Frog Vase is a must. The attack bonus here is huge, so don't forget to have it equipped for the fairly large boosts it provides, which we demonstrate here by taking the vase off and on. And when using this build, we will need HP, so you will very likely have to equip Flexible Bamboo. This is due to the extra survivability it provides, and our food treasures are all essentially irrelevant, that is, aside from gold bread. But if you die instantly, just throw on Explosive Taco for that last bit of damage being thrown into the mix. And since the game's inception, we've essentially been using Dwarf King armor. Just like Frog Vase, the flat attack boost it provides is just far too strong, accounting for around a quarter of our attack, so Dwarf King armor is an absolute must, and it doesn't even come close in comparison to the other weaker armor counterparts. Next up, we have Astrology, which is very important. You might miss various bonuses hidden away here, so do pay close attention. One very important constellation is Gentle Cat. If we look at the bonus here, we are provided 50% per added cat companion, but I'm sure many of you know that birds always seem to be a part of the meta. Well, that's where the constellation nodes come into play. If you have an exotic bird, you definitely want it to have the cat tag added onto it. This will give us an instant 50% attack boost, as you can see here. The same goes for this next node. Choosing our strongest bird companion to also have a cat tag for another 50% attack bonus. You can technically mix and match with this build instead of using birds if you don't have the Swift Bird constellation unlocked. That is for the 50% Birdie Mask bonus effect, but I'll just stick with birds for simplicity's sake, since we do want that bonus as it provides the biggest gain. And another huge tip is again in Swift Bird, you should throw in your exotic frog companion. This way you'll get the bird tag added on, which is very important for numerous sources of damage that I will cover with you momentarily. But these 3 changes in Astrology are the changes you should make in order to maximize your damage. Now pay close attention to our companions. Our bogey has the bird and cat tags on it. Our frog has the bird and frog tag. Our buddy bro has bird and cat. And for our other 2 companion slots, we just use our remaining strongest bird companion. And for our next slot, either use your strongest companion such as the genie or your best frog. This excludes our exotic frog as we're already using them, so use ice frog to optimize your damage even more through Frog Vase. But if you need an extra bird for Birdie Mask, just equip one of those instead. So essentially you should run 3 birds and 2 frogs, or your next strongest companion of any type in place of the mythic frog. Our frog has the bird status on it, so we technically have 4 birds. With the Astrology adjustments I recommended earlier, that's what I found to provide the highest amount of damage so far. Now for Talismans, there's no secret tricks here. I'm just covering them because people often get confused between owned and equipped effect bonuses. Basically, the owned effect lines apply no matter what. Just choose the talisman with the red dot floating at the top. That will be the talisman that gives you the highest attack boost, so nothing to worry about there. The same goes for your weapon and armor. The red dot is your friend. Follow its guidance and you'll get the best pair of equipment to equip onto your slime. Now, speaking of slime, let's go to our slime stats so I can explain something to you. This will be very important, so try your best to stay focused. We can go to our detailed slime stats. This is done by pressing the refresh button under the talisman icon. Once you do that, you'll be introduced to each individual stat our slime has, and I want to bring your attention to 3 specific stats, those being companion damage, skill damage, and boss damage amount. You'll find these 3 attributes on your rings and toys, for example, so it's necessary I explain this next step so you understand what you're doing. The slime we use for this build is Labov. He is currently the strongest slime in the game, so we have to abuse him. And Labov has 3 considerations to make with his slime skill. Firstly, we use him for stage bosses, so boss damage is a must. Secondly, his skill is what pumps out damage currently. I'll put it on display for you here. You can see Labov's slime skill shredding the stage boss when activated, so skill damage is another must. And lastly, if we look at Labov's skill, the only important part to look at is that it deals 550% of total ally attack as damage. The basic attack portion is useless, so don't worry about that. And just to explain, this means that Labov's skill damage is strictly based on total companion attack, so the higher your companion's attack is, the more damage you'll do. All this means that companion damage is another attribute we want to focus on. In this case, because all 3 are very important, we want to keep them as even as possible, meaning we want all of them to have the same number in our slime stats. It is definitely hard to get them all the same stat, but the closer you are, the better. Since the moment one attribute is higher than the rest, you are technically only going to deal a fraction of that percentage more in damage. So let's take a look at our boss damage, for example, compared to skill damage. Instead of having skill damage at 5,500% and boss damage at 5,000%, for example, we would do more damage, having 5,250% skill damage and 5,250% boss damage, since the gains are diminishing the higher the separation is between the 2 stats. If our skill damage was 1000% and our boss damage was 10,000%, simplifying the math here, we'd only get a 10% damage boost to stage bosses if we added 1000% of boss damage to the 10,000 total, but if we added 1000% extra skill damage, for example, to the 1000 skill damage total we already had, we would deal 100% more damage, technically speaking. So that is exactly why we want the 3 even, so we deal as much damage as possible, essentially min-maxing the 3. This means that on our toy, ideally you want skill damage and companion damage with critical hit damage. This is because boss damage has a lower value than companion and skill, and you can see this on our bunny toy, for example, where companion damage is more than double, so ideally, you'll get crit, companion, and skill damage on your toy, and then you would even your stats out using other sources. You would even things out on your ring. It's definitely not easy doing that, which is exactly why my stats aren't completely evened out. So be sure when you are hunting for a ring, you calculate which stats you need. You can just do this by unequipping the ring you have on now, and seeing your stat totals for the 3 attributes you want, which is companion damage, skill damage, and boss damage if you forgot. And if you skip to this part of the video, you'll probably have no idea what I'm talking about right now, so you better go back and watch what you missed to understand. Oh, and before I forget about the ring itself, you can actually go for any rarity ring you want using this build with Labov. From my understanding, it's still likely better to go for a lower rarity ring with maximum boss, skill, and companion damage attributes, but if you must choose grade, you definitely can. So this build allows us to hunt for a good ring easily, allowing us to search for 4 different attributes on our ring using the parameters I mentioned earlier. This is all due to our new relic combination, which I'll cover with you right now to explain. Bottles don't matter, so equip whatever you want here. I just use pottery. For gems, use ruby because of the attack speed bonus with rage, which is a skill you can be using. And for your figurine, previously we used Sparrow figurine because egg throw was just so good, but now because we rely on companion attack, slime figurine is actually the stronger of the 2. This is again due to Labov being the king of kings right now, and I'll show you the difference. Here in our side-by-side example of Sparrow figurine versus slime figurine, it's clear that even with the egg throw spam Sparrow figurine provides, the damage the ball outputs is just far too intense. It just happens that this build has a lot of birds in it. Even then, the old meta is far too weak to compare, so switch on over to slime figurine for once. We can finally see what's happening on the screen without hundreds of eggs being thrown around. Next up, use Hot Seat for your cushion. It just provides the biggest boost with this build, so no explanation required. You should always use Sacred Necklace now since we have so much damage and so little HP. And for our mask, I use Birdie Mask, which is why I made sure to have companions that equal to 4 birds on our lineup, since you can see Birdie Mask makes up a third of our damage, but if you lack HP, you can just use Slime or Folksy Mask, whatever works better for you. And lastly, we use Tome of Disorder for our book, because there's not a chance another book will beat the major attack boost it provides. The only thing left now is skills and traits. Honestly, I don't believe skills do a thing. I think the ideal combo is Irradiating Comet with Warrior Breaker for the added survivability, but I just use Irradiating Comet for the cooldown reset, Rage because it makes our companions do a bit more damage, Dark Clouds and Bird Strike because the constellations add a bit of a bonus effect to them when equipped, and again Warrior Breaker for the added survivability, which is a must. Well, that's it. For traits, you can just copy these, go with 4 oranges and 1 purple trait for survivability, and make sure they are all attack traits. Be sure to tell me if this Evolve build worked for you. Comment, like, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Be sure to join the giveaway, and stay tuned for more videos. Enjoy!